Welcome to Soul Survivor Outdoors podcast in Carlsbad, California. Today I have the privilege and pleasure of being with Cheyne Jobbins. He's part of Christian Surfers, amazing dude, friend. We've known each other for a few years. Cheyne, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick.
How long have we known each other?
Ooh, I think about 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. How'd we get introduced? Who introduced us? Do you remember?
I heard about SSO through Trevor Berge with Degree 33 Surfboards. He described it as a outreach to active military to tell them about Jesus using outdoor activities, and that they do rock climbing and horseback riding and shooting guns and all kinds of fun things, skydiving, and that they were going to introduce surfing. And so working for Christian Surfers, our goal is to share Jesus with the surfers in the surfing community using surfing as the tool.
Yeah.
And so he invited us to come volunteer because it seemed like a pretty natural fit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because we're both doing outdoor stuff. People ask me, they see a picture of me in the water, not usually standing on anything. And they're like, hey, do you surf? And I'm like, I'm in the water. And is that what it's like when you get these service members out? What are they doing? What's that look like on a day of them in the water?
Oh yeah, they come in pretty confident normally. They're usually pretty in shape and big dudes. And what they don't know is that muscle sinks. So as they paddle out and feel pretty confident that they're going to conquer the surfing thing, they realize very quickly that it's not as easy as it seems. And so they spend the majority of their time underwater. But when they do catch that one wave, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. So Christian Surfers uses surf as a ministry tool. And so, talk about that. Talk about how CS does it, and then maybe how that intersects with SSO, and how's it working?
CS does a lot of things in this region. So from the border of Mexico to San Luis Obispo, there's 7 Christian Surfers chapters. So there's groups of people that meet on the beach, and they'll either have like a bonfire or coffee and donuts on the beach. They'll go out, have a session, invite local people from the lineup to come back and hear a small either gospel presentation or someone's testimony, or gather around a bonfire with a group of good people. And it's kind of directed towards people that might not be ready to step foot in a church yet. And it's pretty awesome because SSO, the way that you guys run your outreaches is almost exactly how we run our chapter meetings. And it was cool to not know you and then come to know you and realize this is just exactly what we do. So the partnership was a no-brainer. But we do all kinds of stuff. We have chapters, we have gatherings up and down the coast. We run international mission trips where we go and do construction projects in countries with really good surf. I just got back from Chile for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were helping out at a YWAM base down there and doing about 6 or 7 hours of construction a day and surfing twice a day. And Chile is awesome because it's located where all our swells come from. So there's a lot of waves. So my body hurts.
So talk about that, because one of the things that I don't think everybody necessarily understands is this whole partnership thing. Because you mentioned another organization, YWAM, Youth with a Mission. So talk about that a little bit. It's kind of cool how we're all coming together from different vantage points on this.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can feel competitive, the nonprofit space, when we're doing similar things, but I don't think that's really the heart of the Lord. I think that we're here to build his kingdom and show people who Jesus is and have them come to know him. So the more that we can work together, the better. And SSO and CS it's cohesive and it's easy. And you guys are reaching people that we wouldn't normally reach. And we just come in and do what we do to partner with the surfing. And it's cool too, because a lot of our volunteers that have done the surf event have also gone on to do skydiving and rock climbing and maybe more soon.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about what we could do because, there's a little snippet on some of our literature and everything about, potentially doing international missions and everything. And I think there's an overlap there that could take place. How would you feel about dragging some military people along with you on a trip someplace?
Oh, I've done it, and they work really hard, especially with construction. So yeah. I'm very, very open to that. Little fun story. That's where I actually met my buddy Michael Albrecht. Was in Chile. He got invited from a friend, and he didn't know anyone. He showed up on this trip. He was in the Marines for 5 years.
Yeah,
is that normal? 5 years.
Yeah.
He got out. Had some friends over here in California. He's from Indiana. They invited him on this mission trip to Chile. He wanted to check it out, and he just showed up with our group. Wow. He didn't know anyone.
Oh my gosh.
And he didn't really surf too much. He had surfed a couple times. And if you know anything about Chile, it's not very beginner oriented. The waves are intense. And he paddled out. Well, actually, first we were looking for boards in the board shed that was there because he didn't bring one because he didn't really surf. And he didn't want to ride a foam board. So I said, well, this is there's a gun here if you want a gun. And a gun is like a large surfboard for big waves. Right. That's what it's called. And later on, he had said, I just didn't understand why you were telling me that I needed a gun. Like, was it for sharks or was it for protection from the locals? Like, his idea of a gun was different than surfing's term of a gun.
Yeah.
So anyways, we got him his gun. It was not a weapon. It was a surfboard. And he paddled out, and it was quite large surf. The first big set of waves came as we were paddling out. And I looked back and I'm like, oh man, he's going to get so destroyed. And they all landed right on his head. And I thought that he might be drowning or something.
Oh my God.
But I look back and he is head down, swimming out to sea, not on a surfboard. He's swimming and he's totally fine. And the surfboard's trailing behind him. And he makes it all the way out swimming. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you on your surfboard? And he said, well, I'm a swimmer, so I'm a lot more comfortable swimming. I don't really know how to paddle yet. Oh my gosh. And so he was completely fine, and I didn't worry about him anymore because he was a better swimmer than me. Yeah, it was more comfortable for him to swim head down than it was for him to actually paddle on the surfboard. And we became great friends on that trip. All that to say, incredibly hard worker.
Yeah.
Marine, and now involved with CS. Awesome dude, and serves with SSO, and he's shared multiple times.
Isn't that crazy? Just how God brings these communities together. God wants to get his work done. And then we have kind of different, you already mentioned, groups. Like, I wouldn't be having that much engagement with the surfer community. They're all these different endeavors of humanity. There's skydivers and rock climbers and surfers, and they're all kind of their own little thing. And yet we get to overlap, and then we find out that we really love each other, and it's just so much fun to be able to get out there. And we have so much in common because we have the Lord in common to begin with, and then we're able to do this. And then Michael, I guess I didn't realize that's how your relationship with him had started, and so. Then there's this trajectory of bringing us all together. So here he is out there. He's in law enforcement, so he doesn't get to do as much with us. But he was like one of my go-to rock climber volunteers for a long, long time.
Yeah, he's a reliable dude.
Yeah, he's amazing. Well, I'm hoping, praying that we can do some of those kinds of things. Obviously, people who are willing to go to a foreign country and do missions, construction projects and other kinds of things, even when it can be wrapped up with some fun stuff. It's hard to do that. It costs money and everything. But, I'm hoping, praying that we can do more of that because that's just such an amazing way to grow in our faith and everything. Talk about Chile for a few minutes about, like, what did you guys do when you were there just recently?
That trip, we really gauge it towards hard work. Normally. So the waves are usually pretty big every day. I lived there for 6 months, and the waves never dropped below shoulder high.
Whoa.
So they range on the small season. They range between shoulder high and 30 foot, and it just kind of like ranges back and forth between that.
Wow.
So there's a lot of waves. So we surf twice a day, and usually try to put in like 5 to 8 hours of construction a day also, and then walk down to dinner after dark. And so we're going to sleep at 12 and waking up at 5 every day, and we just do that for 12 days straight. So it's definitely a good like burnout trip. Very stretching for those who have not done stuff like that. The projects are pretty wild usually. The most wild one when we showed up once was the director of the base. They have like a public center that they run with a pool, and it's open to the public, and they have a gym and all this stuff. And so he's always scheming up the next thing. His name is Mitch. And he wanted to expand his building. And he said, this building is a 1-story, but I want to make it a 2-story. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to cut the roof off, and then we're going to add another story. But we're not going to close it. We're going to just leave it open to the public while you do it. So our team's goal was to slice the roof off of a 1-story building and add another one. So this is not an ad for Chili, but that was the sketchiest project. But on that particular trip, we had 3 people at least put a leg through the roof. One person actually fell through. 2 people got electrocuted, and one guy almost got his hand cut off by a chainsaw because there was a local there, and he said, "You guys are working too slow with your sawzalls. I'm gonna go get my gas-powered chainsaw." And he went at it with the chainsaw, but no one died, and no one lost any limbs.
This is a. I think that when you really are into surfing, there's a theme there, right? Like whether it's on the land or whether it's out at sea, it's like, well, nobody died.
Even that, maybe it is an ad for Chili for the military guys because they kind of love that.
Yeah, well, it might be, and I just think it's so cool. How God uses this thing and what you guys do, and also, for our viewers, I don't know. Probably not that many people across the country that are affiliated with us know that much about surfing. There's a few here and there. We're in North Carolina and Florida a little bit and everything, but and hoping to go to Hawaii. But you might not think, oh yeah, surfers, yo, surfer dude, whatever. It's like oh my gosh, this community is so intensely hardworking, right? Like I watch what you guys do. I hear about it. I've seen some video. And just how you pour into other people and the trips you've taken all over the world. And then Christian Surfers, is that a local ministry or what? Where else does it exist, or does it?
Yes, local and global. It started in Australia. That's where I got to know it. I was doing my last semester of school in Australia, and I was introduced to Christian Surfers, and there was a lot of chapters over there, and got to know a lot of really awesome people. And for me, just the depth of community that I saw over there within CS, like they're all on outreach trying to reach surfers, but at the same time, it creates this really deep community of people that it was unlike anything I had ever seen. And I just said, I knew that I wanted to be a part of, I wanted to be a missionary, and I wanted to be a part of some ministry. And when I really got to know the culture of what CS was, I said, I don't know what this is, but I want to be a part of it. So that's where I got introduced, was Australia. But I can't remember how many countries involved, but most of the countries with good surf, there's CS presence there. Even the ones that are closed off towards Christians, it's kind of a pretty good avenue to get in through surf tourism and stuff. So they kind of go a little bit undercover in certain areas where you're not allowed to be Christian, but you're allowed to be a surfer.
It's kind of mind-boggling because there's surf chapters in the middle of Germany that are doing like river stuff. And there's northern Germany, or there's Norway, or there's, I don't know, Iceland or Greenland or what. Yeah. I mean, it's like you can't surf there, can you? Or no one who would want to surf there. But
yeah, laziness is not, it's a false perception of surfers. They will put in a ridiculous amount of work to go anywhere in the world to find a good wave.
Yeah, so it really is like we'll surf for food or whatever. Yeah. Talk about what one of those chapter meetings looks like. You guys do it on the weekend. What's that look like?
Yeah, for us in Carlsbad, it looks like a group of people gathering for a surf at Southside Tamarack. And we'll surf together and invite anyone that we meet in the water to come. We'll say, hey, we're going to have coffee and donuts at 10 a.m. If you guys want to come join, there's an awesome group of people. Come meet us. And we'll come back 10 a.m.-ish. I would say ish. If the waves are good, maybe more like 10:30.
Right.
We'll gather back on the beach, and someone will share just real short, 5-7 minutes, either their story of how they came to know who Jesus is, or a simple gospel presentation, and we'll share coffee, donuts, and hang out. And so it's really simple, and it's very open towards people from any walk of life. We try to say that every time. Say, hey, if you don't know anything about God, or if you've been a Christian for 25 years, you're welcome here. You're welcome to question, and we're just going to figure it out together. So, yeah.
I think that's, we talked about on another podcast. I was talking to a Navy chaplain, and we talked about how we kind of overcomplicate things a lot of times. And Jesus makes it so simple, right? Sit people down, have some food. At CS, maybe it's donuts. We do that too in the morning. We start with donuts, really healthy food for getting in the water, and just have a conversation. I've been to numerous chapter meetings in Carlsbad anyway, and just the welcomeness of everybody there. What's that age group look like typically? That's a part of it. I'm a little on the older side of things. Mitch from YWAM and whatnot, we're closer in age, but everybody else, what's that age group look like?
Yeah, every chapter's got a different flavor for sure. Usually based on whoever the leaders are that form that chapter. So the Carlsbad chapter is very young to mid 20s, I would say, is the majority. Oceanside is all young families. It's like people with young kids. All of them are completely different, all range, but every age is welcome. It's not age specific. Yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of it, is that multi-generational mentor, and that's surf culture too, is there's always like the old salts out in the water mentoring, and they're, slowly allow in some younger surfers, because these guys have been surfing here for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. And they'll kind of grandfather people in as you put your time in. So it's very surf culture. Christian surfers is like that as well. But you're welcome. We're not going to grandfather you in. We'll just welcome you in right away. So a little anti-surf culture, but a little flavor of surf culture as well, with the multi-generational thing.
When that intersects and overlaps with what we do with Soul Survivor Outdoor, and you have your team out there, what's their response, given, especially your chapter that's a little on the younger side? First, I would ask, do you think that the age groups are similar, and where else could it be overlapping? What does that look like when your team intersects with the military culture?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel that if you don't understand or know the military culture, you just think that everyone's older. And then you show up to a SSO event and they're all like, not all, but a lot of times they'll be, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And it's a lot of the same age people that we're bringing to volunteer. And they're like, oh, these people are my same age. And they're in the military and they're just normal people. So
normal. Yeah. So
it's hard. I mean, sometimes like if you're not a part of the military culture, then you just don't really understand that until you go and understand it.
I think that's, part of, I don't know where that comes from exactly. I guess a God thing in terms of how we overlap, and my personal desire to see these different communities coming together. Youth with a Mission has one kind of culture a little bit. CS, another, local churches, but it's just like we all come together. And then, we're recruiting volunteers from all over the place and everything. It's like, well, I never served in the military or whatever. Do you think your team feels welcome or uncomfortable? Like, where do they fit on that spectrum, or what does that dynamic develop like over the course of a half day out with these? And here in California, Marines typically.
I think the perception is that it would be better if you had served in the military because you can relate more. But having been and served at SSO events, there's equal value to both. Because I think the people that have served, they end up talking about the military because that's the common ground.
Right.
And the people that haven't served end up just talking about normal life. And those people, the kids that, I say kids, but the, the military folks that are actually coming to the event, they just need to talk about normal life. They only talk about the military because they're in the military. So super high value to have not served and come to volunteer in an event, because then you're just having normal conversation, and that's exactly what they need. So.
Wow. Yeah, and that is a core value, and I say it, and like you were talking about, if I mention what we're doing, one of the first things somebody will say is, well, I never served in the military. And you've said that's actually a plus, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you had any conversations with some of these military people that are coming out there that went a little deeper? Because there is some time that kind of gets interwoven, and maybe you're not paddling out the entire time. Have you had any deeper conversations with anybody surrounding these events that was serving in the military?
Yeah, totally. I think it mostly stems from people getting convicted the moment they step foot there. Usually it's people that, say that they're Christians but haven't really been walking it out in their military life. And as soon as they get there, they're just already in the feels a little bit of like, oh man, I just need to get back to my faith. I already know. Like before the message, before anything, they're kind of already getting hit with that. And yeah, a lot of those conversations are just about how it's difficult to really engage in those faith conversations with the people around them. But then they start to, when they're there and their other buddies are willing to go there as well. It's just someone's got to crack that can open. But it is hard with that community around them. It can be a little rougher and not as inviting always.
Maybe not as friendly too.
Not as friendly,
Although the military culture theoretically with the standards and you have to be honest and have integrity and all these kinds of things are. I was reading Proverbs this morning, so you can read right out of Proverbs the kinds of behaviors that we ought to exhibit, and the military talks about these things all the time. And yet there's the other side of the military that can be pretty rough and makes it hard for them. So you've already talked about how this works with both of our organizations as far as, the outreach and everything. What's the response that you see to the gospel being presented in the context of a conversation? With surfing, we've finished with the waves. We open in prayer, we have donuts, we go into the water, people are coming and going. And you guys are out in the water pushing them out and everything. So actually, maybe let's talk about that for a second. So what's your role when you show up there throughout the day, basically? What is the role of the volunteer from Christian Surfers? What are you doing when you're there?
Yeah, so our role is to first just engage in conversation with all the service members that come. And from there, we do some surf instruction, led by Corey Whitlock. He'll come and do a real basic surf instruction. And then we'll actually go out in the water with all the service members that come, and we'll push them into waves and just encourage them, give them tips along the way. Hey, you need to put your foot here. You need to turn your head here. And we'll just be out there pushing them into waves for hours and just being right there along with them. And then sometimes some groups get so good so fast, and good, I just mean they can stand up.
Right.
That's good for one day.
Yeah.
That they'll just be like, oh, you should go grab a board, and we'll just come and ride some whitewash with them. So it's just really being with them.
Yeah, just linking arms, right? So okay, so the message is usually a little longer. We joke that I can be a little long-winded. So if it's Michael, it's like 10 minutes. It's very CS, like, right? 10 minutes, testimony, really impactful. Some are a little longer, and we have different people give those messages, and you've seen 4 or 5 or 6 people come out and talk. What's that look like in terms of that discussion, and what's the response from the service members?
Yeah, this is kind of my selling point when I'm asking volunteers to come help, just because it blows my mind every time how simple it is. And it's the same with CS, but I think the response for the SSO events just blows my mind every time, because you guys just share the gospel. It's very straightforward. Either it's usually wrapped up in someone's testimony, and then they'll share just the very basic gospel message and ask, does anyone want to dedicate their life to the Lord? And then you bow your head and everything. And I always open my eyes during that time, because I need to know.
Yeah.
And I would say 50 to 70% of everyone that comes accepts the Lord every single time, which is, they're just hungry for it. They just need the realness that God has to offer. And, there's anywhere from 20 to 50 service members that come every time. And then at least half of them are dedicating their life to the Lord for the first time, or rededicating their life to the Lord. And that is just wild. So that's why I tell people, I'm like, you guys, it's so simple. We literally just show up. We have coffee and donuts with them and talk. We push them into some waves. We talk a little bit more, and we have free lunch, and then they give their life to the Lord. It's pretty simple. Like, just come volunteer.
Yeah. I mean, there's the simple gospel, right? Like, we do overcomplicate things a lot of times. And, the Lord himself, came to walk amongst us. And so, I think if we just read what Jesus did and then go do that, right? Like, they get accused of hanging out. He gets accused of hanging out with sinners, quote unquote. Well, I don't necessarily want to say that's the crowd, but it is. It's the crowd we serve, right? Like, we've all been sinners. We've all been there. And to just be so real, so transparent, and share our story, and then point people to Jesus. And it shocks me too sometimes. You've been skydiving. People will joke, well, of course they gave their life to the Lord because they're about to jump out of a plane. I'm like, no, we actually had lunch after, and we had our discussion after, so the pressure was off.
Yeah.
We've seen a whole group of, from the most junior Marine, who's probably 18 or something, on up to somebody who's more senior who was there, and there's 40 of them. And our guest speaker gives this very simple message and says, hey, if you want to walk with the Lord today or return to him, that's a really good point that you made, that so many, probably a lot, I don't know what the percentage is exactly, but there's a pretty strong percentage of service members that had some kind of faith background. And then and this happens in universities and everywhere you go, when you get out of the house and you have to go be your own person. So that relationship needs to be yours. It can't be your parents or your friends or whatever. And so now in some ways that's a good thing, right? Because you're launched out there, and God wants to say, hey, this journey of yours and mine needs to be us, not these other people. And you need community. Absolutely. But mind-boggling to see the response. And I mentioned the skydiving thing, and look up and go, every single person here prayed to come back to the Lord or receive him for the first time. And it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, this is one of your chances publicly, blast out there, especially as we think about going, we're in Florida where there's a chapter, so we might want to try to do something there sometime. And Steve's not too far away from that. Hawaii coming up. What would you say to the CS community about getting involved with us and beyond what you've already said? What would you add? Like, if you were given a advertisement, what would that look like?
I think I would just say, don't miss out. It's just awesome. You're just going to miss out if you don't get involved. So it's that simple. You just get to see people come to know the Lord, and what's better than that? And it's easy. It's just what we already do. So
Absolutely.
it's just using surfing as a tool for the gospel. It's just a little different because it's geared towards beginners and military, but it's still using surfing as a tool for people to come to know the Lord. So
I'm excited to keep doing this. Get out with us. And if you're watching and you've been out to an SSO surf event and you haven't plugged in recently back to the surf community, CS here in California is up and down the coast, and you're a military service member. We'd love for you to get replugged back into CS and take more steps in your faith journey. So Cheyne, thanks for being on here this morning, and let's go do some more cool stuff, and let's get some of our people plugged back into you or into you next to head off to Chile or wherever you might be going to do missions work and learn to dive deeper, so to speak, into both their faith and also the waves as they learn to surf more. So thanks, guys, for joining us this morning. Thanks, Cheyne, for being part of the show, and more importantly, just being a friend and a co-laborer with Christ. So visit us at soulsurvivoroutdoor.org and find out more. There's some great videos and pictures and things, and you can see the excitement in the faces of the service members, and then come out and volunteer with us. You definitely will have your mind blown as to the impact of what's happening with the military these days. Thanks.